To the Romans, it was Ibercarum. To the Vikings, it was Jorvik. We know it as York. We're going to show you the highlights this city's got to offer. But stay with us till the end to see the birthplace and the grave of two notorious people that came to York. The medieval period in York's history was just as important. The walls were re-strengthened, a lot of the Viking buildings went from wood to stone, and 4 gates or bars were built to regulate entry into the city. This one is perhaps the most famous. This is Micklegate, and this was the ceremonial entrance of the monarch when he entered the city. Only 2% of the Roman remains have been rediscovered here in York, and the longest part of wall is here in the museum gardens. Behind me is the iconic York Minster. It's one of the largest cathedrals of its type in Northern Europe. The building was started by William the Conqueror in 1080, and in 1472 it was thought to be just about finished enough to be consecrated as a place of worship. Behind me you can probably see on the wall is the newly unveiled statue of Queen Elizabeth II that was unveiled here in November by King Charles.
While we take you around the Minster, if churches aren't your thing, we accept it's not for everyone, use the chapters in the video to skip to the next feature, which I think you'll enjoy. But for those that want to stay, have a look around this quite unique Minster. It's the home of the 3rd ranking person in the Church of England, the head of course being the King, the 2nd being the Archbishop of Canterbury, the 3rd being the Archbishop of York. Now this is a building that's built to impress, with great windows on all sides, stained glass windows, supreme carpentry and stone masonry work, and it just looks quite amazing. It's quintessentially about York. It dominates the skyline and you can see it on its approach, and it's visible as you walk around the city walls. Now, as Christian people, lighting a candle and saying a prayer for those that we've lost is quite natural to us, and it's something we do wherever we are in the world. It just brings people a little bit closer to home and makes us feel quite good, so we never miss out. Every church has a crypt, doesn't it? Well, this one's not got kings and queens in it like some of the great crypts we looked around in Spain, but it does have the tomb of St. William, the patron saint of York. And it's worth a look round. Out of the crypt into the big open spaces of the church. I'm not sure what the capacity is, but I think it may be only on special occasions that it's filled, because it's huge. The organ is massive and generates a sound that is difficult to explain. Unfortunately, we're not permitted to play the music it makes on the video, otherwise it infringes YouTube's copyright rules. But I'm sure if you close your eyes you can imagine it. A new thing for this visit, and Helen mentioned it a few minutes ago, was the story of the sculpture. They call it Sculpting the Sovereign. It's on the West Front, and it's now called Queen Elizabeth Square. And there's a full demonstration board showing you the design process, should I say, and the thoughts and processes in building it up into what it is. She was a marvellous monarch. Helen and I both took or swore an oath to her, and we're always proud to serve. And she just looks, oh, this sculpture, should I say, just looks fantastic. Probably our greatest monarch. It's the only one I've known, so I can't really compare objectively. But what a job she did. Now, as an extra, you can climb the tower. These are set to an appointment, but there's a strict health warning before you walk up the steps. This is not for somebody who is struggling with mobility, or even perhaps high blood pressure or heart issues, because it's quite a climb.
That's 275 steps all the way to the top of York Minster, to the very top of the tower. It's quite narrow, it's a spiral staircase, but the views are well worth it when you get to the top. The only thing is, it is caged in all the way around, so it's not too easy to get good photographs, but the views are spectacular.
Well, what goes up must come down. So back down the 275 steps into the street and off to find Guy Fawkes.
Remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. We all know the rhyme, right? Behind me here in 1570, this was the birthplace of Guy Fawkes. A little bit of a history lesson for you. In 1605, Guy Fawkes, a staunch Catholic, was part of the gunpowder plot, not easy to say, to blow up the Protestant King of England, King James I. He was captured, he was tried for high treason, and he was hung, drawn and quartered. Now, a little bit of a factoid. According to the hotel's website, any property that was once owned by the Fawkes family, they can no longer celebrate the 5th of November and Bonfire Night. The hotel here was owned by the Fawkes family, and this is where he was born, and he was also educated at St Peter's Church here in York. York as we know it today is from Roman times, when in 71 AD, 5,000 men from the 9th Legion marched from Lincoln and conquered York, and they ruled here for over 300 years. Behind me is the Shambles. It's probably the most famous street in York, and it's a maze of narrow, twisting lanes. Now it's full of quirky shops, places to eat and drink. But the actual name Shambles comes from the Anglo-Saxon shammel, which means shelves. And this used to be streets and streets of butchers and slaughterhouses, and the meat was displayed on the shelves and the window bottoms of all the shops. Shambles is also said to be the inspiration for Diagon Alley in Harry Potter. Talking of the Harry Potter connection, the shop that must not be named. Brooms. wands available inside.
H. Park your broom.
How very rude. The Vikings came to York in 866 AD, led by a man with a rather unfortunate name of Ivor the Boneless. Contrary to popular belief, these were quite a peaceful bunch, mainly traders, shipbuilders, and the city really prospered. Now, Scandinavian for gate is garter, and you can see the history here all over York. There's Bishopgate, Petergate, and here in Coppergate behind me is the Jorvik Centre, where you can experience all the history and all the sights, sounds and smells of Viking life. Behind me is Cliffords Tower. It was once the stone keep of York Castle. It was built by William the Conqueror to subdue the rebellious North. Where on earth he got the idea that the Northerners were rebellious from, I really don't know. It's been a royal mint, it's been a garrison, but it was also the scene of one of the worst atrocities in medieval history, when there was, in 1190, the Jewish community was massacred. This is the grave of John Palmer. You might think, who's John Palmer? We know him better as Dick Turpin, the notorious highwayman, who was convicted of horse theft and hung on the Knavesmire in York on the 7th of April 1739, and he's buried just here.
So that was York.
Yes. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good couple of days, wasn't it?
Yeah,
good
really
couple of days.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, we're sat here now having a coffee.
Yes.
On the mug that I got from the Outer Hebrides. And you've...
Mine was the one that we got after we'd been to see the Puffins at Stafford. So we got a mug to remember the journey and the trip, didn't we, on the boat?
Scotland's great. Obviously, the NC 500 is a good run if you've not done that, but actually we prefer the islands. Jump on a Calmac ferry, and we've done quite a bit of work on the islands, haven't we, with the van?
Yeah.
The greatest place that we've come across, I think, in the UK, definitely on the islands. Hard to say which we prefer. But anyway, back to York.
Yes.
We have had a great couple of days. What did you like about it most?
Oh, I think it's just I would describe York as a vibrant, quirky city that's quite close in, so you can get to do most things on foot. Really enjoyed it.
It's got like this vibe about it going on. You can, particularly someone like myself who's interested in street photography, you can walk round and take pictures all day long of different people doing different things, musicians, street entertainers, people who are there to promote things. I saw this great picture of this guy that said, "Check my fudge."
Rate my fudge.
Rate my fudge.
Rate my fudge.
Sorry, rate my fudge.
We didn't.
He actually had a fudge shop, didn't he?
Did, yes.
But I had to look at him twice, and here's his picture. He was quite an interesting guy. He was trying his hardest. He wasn't getting many people in his shop, so I could see why he was trying the gimmicks. But yeah, York's a great place, mixture of history and we had
a buzz about it.
It is, and shout out to the Mason's Arms as well. Great pub, just like going back in time. Landlord and landlady behind the bar. Sausage and mash.
Yes, a proper pub.
Absolutely excellent. Really enjoyed it. So we're moving on now. We're going to go further north and have a run round. Now, we haven't said too much about where we stayed. We stayed on a caravan and motorhome club site, which we haven't done for a while. Not a big site, stayed on CLs. And we've got a couple in succession coming up. And then we'll have a little think about what we think, because there's an awful lot of discussion at the moment about the camping and caravan and motorhome club, about costs and value for money and new systems and all that sort of thing. So we might just give you our take on it when we've given it a fair crack. We'll come back to you in a couple of videos' time, I think, on that one. But I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a bit whistle bang, but we know York very well, so we were able to just cut through it and go to the places where we want to go to. And we've really enjoyed the fresh Yorkshire water, haven't we?
You can't. Well, they can say many things about Yorkshire, but one thing you can't complain about is the water is the best.
If you live in the north and you move to the south, even if you like the south like we do, or the east as it is in our case, and we love it and we wouldn't live anywhere else, the one thing you miss is that Yorkshire water, because it makes the tea taste
even better.
Amazing. So there you go. Sound like a proper old fart.
That's because that's what you are.
Thank you. So, it's goodbye from me.
And it's Helen out from me.
Martin out.